Otis Culture, Fashion and Craft. Hello everyone, you're welcome to Otis Culture. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing us on how to draft a shirt collar and how to sew it to a neckline. It is very easy to make. Before I continue, I want to say a very big thank you to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you all. And if you are yet to join the family, all you need to do is to click on the red button down below to subscribe to my channel, and also click on the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be notified. So without further ado, let's move right to the tutorial. In drafting a shirt collar, the very first thing you will do is to fold either your shirt or your dress, whichever one you want to sew a collar to it. You will fold the neckline into two this way. After folding it into two, then you will measure the neckline. I have 10.5 inches. In drafting the collar, you are going to fold the neckline into two this way. Then you will measure the neckline. I have 10.5 inches. This is my pattern paper and it's folded into two, as you can see. So I'm going to insert my neckline measurement, which is 10.5 inches. This is 10.5 inches. I'm going to measure 1.5 inches upward. From the 10.5 inches, I'm going to measure 1.5 inches. I'm going to connect it into a straight line. I'm going to find the midpoint of this 10.5 inches. Then I'll move over to this side. I'm going to measure 1/2 inch upward. From the 1/2 inch, I'm going to connect it to the midpoint. I want my collar stand height to be 1 inch, so I'm going to start measuring 1 inch from here. 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. I'll start measuring the 1 inch from this curved line. One inch, 1 inch. So the next thing to do is to connect. The next thing to do is to connect the dots together. Over to this side, I'm going to measure half inch. From the half inch, I'm going to curve to meet this point. From the half inch, I'll curve it to meet this point. This is the collar stand. Next is to draft the collar fall. Neckline measurement is 10.5 inches. The same length with the collar stand, 10.5 inches. I'm going to measure 3.5 inches upward. I will connect it into a straight line. I'll move over to this side. I'm going to measure 1 inch. I'll move over to this side as well. I'm going to measure 2.5 inches. From this 3.5 inches, I'm going to connect it to this 2.5 inches. I'm going to connect from this 3.5 inches, I'm going to connect it to this 1 inch. I'm going to measure 1/2 inch on this side. I'm going to connect it in a curve way to meet this point. This is our collar fall. This is how to draft a shirt collar. It is very easy to draft, as you can see. Next thing is to cut it out. The next thing to do, I'm going to use this pattern to cut on the fabric, and I'm going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance all through. 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to have 2 pieces each. For the collar fall, I'm going to cut out 2 pieces. For the collar stand, I'm going to cut out 2 pieces as well. I'm going to add half an inch seam allowance all through. I'm going to notch the down part to indicate the part that will be on the neckline. I'm going to do same on this as well. I'll notch it. I'm going to iron interfacing to the wrong side of the fabric. This is absolutely optional. I've ironed interfacing on it. I iron it on one part. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to place the second one on it this way. Then I'm going to take to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew half an inch. All through this way, half an inch. After sewing it, I will turn it to the right side. I've sewn it, as you can see. So I'm going to trim out the excess fabric and I will turn it to the right side. So the next thing to do, I'm going to take it to my ironing table. I'll give it a good press, then I'm going to top stitch on it. I'll top stitch on it, then we'll move to the collar stand. After ironing stay on one part of the collar stand, the part that will be sewn to the neckline, I folded half an inch and I iron it. So the next thing I'm going to do, this is the midpoint. I trace it from here. This is the midpoint. So the next thing I'm going to do, this is the midpoint of the collar fall. This is the midpoint of the collar stand. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to place the midpoint on each other this way. Then I will use the remaining piece. Then I will use this to cover it up this way. Then I will take to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew half an inch all through. I've sewn it, as you can see. I sew half an inch round. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut out the excess fabric. I'm going to take to my sewing machine. I'm going to top stitch on it round this way. The other side of the collar stand that we did not fold, remember that we folded half an inch and ironed it. Then this other side I left it, I did not fold it. So I'm going to take this collar stand that we did not fold, I'm going to place it on the neckline. Then I'm going to sew it round the neckline. If you take your measurement right, it's going to fit in perfectly to your neckline. I've sewn it round with half an inch and it fits into the neckline properly because I took the right measurement. So the next thing to do, this half inch that we folded earlier, that we ironed, I'm going to use it to cover this seam that we just sewn. The next thing I'm going to do, I'll take to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew close to the edge. I'm going to sew it round. Then I'll show us the final look. You will need about 2 buttonholes for it. 1 buttonhole on the collar stand and 1 on the plackets. This is the bubble side and this is the fitted side, as you can see. We've come to an end of today's tutorial. If you find my tutorial helpful, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below if you've not done so. I upload weekly tutorial on my channel. Also remember to click on the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be notified. Until I come your way next, please stay safe and remain blessed. Bye.